There's a difference between change in quantity demanded and change in demand. Totally different things. The only thing that will cause a change in quantity demanded is a change in price. So we know that a change in quantity demanded is caused by a change in price, right? That we know that a change in price of whatever product we're graphing causes a change in quantity demanded. And that just is a point on the curve. So a change in quantity demanded goes from one point on the curve to another. So if the price was 3, the quantity demanded would be about 95. If the price goes up to 6, the quantity demanded is going to be about 60. That was a change in quantity demanded because the only thing that changed was a change in price. That was it. There's a different concept we're going to teach you called a change in demand. That's when something else changes besides the price of this product. So the change in quantity demanded is caused by a change in the price of this product, whatever that product might be. If anything else changes that affects the consumer, because consumers determine demand, so if anything else changes that affects these consumers, it'll be what we call a change in demand, a change in demand. And a change in demand will be represented by a shift of the curve. So we still always have our price on the vertical axis, always, always, always. We'll still always have our quantity on the horizontal axis, always, always, always. Our downward sloping demand curve labeled D down here in the dirt. So demand is labeled D down here in the dirt. It's a downward sloping demand curve down here in the dirt labeled D for demand. Whereas price on the vertical axis, quantity on the horizontal axis. If something besides price changes, that means that the conditions of demand have changed. That consumers are really either more willing or less willing, or more able or less able to buy the exact same product. And there are several conditions we'll talk about that lead to this change in demand. So a change in price causes a change in quantity demanded, right? So change in price, change in quantity demanded. We know that. Well, if something else changes, it causes a change in demand. If it causes consumers to want or be able to buy more of a product, it's an increase in demand. So this entire demand curve is going to shift to the right because right is more. So when they want to have more demand, we go right. So it shifts right from the first demand curve to now a new second demand curve. An increase in demand is a shift to the right because right is more. So whenever consumers want more of it, they're willing and able to buy the same product at a higher price. So there'd be a higher price, a greater quantity of that product is going to get bought by consumers at that same price. Same price, higher quantity. So more demand. What if there's less demand, meaning that what something happens that causes consumers to want or be less able to buy something? Oh, that means the curve is going to shift to the left because left is less. So when it's left, we're going to shift left because left is less. So left is less, so whenever it's less, we're shifting left because left is less. Less is left, so we'll shift left when it's less. So whenever it's less, you're shifting left because left is less. Left is less, so we're going left if it's less. So when it's less, we're going left because left is less. Right is more, but left is less, so we're going less if it's left. So whenever something causes demand to shift left, right, we know it's going to be less. So what things could cause this change in demand, right? There are going to be several reasons for change in demand, and we'll call these our non-price determinants of demand because remember, change in price causes a change in quantity demanded. Anything else causes a change in demand. So the reasons for change in demand. We're going to give you an acronym you can use, all right? And this acronym is going to be called TIMER, all right? So any reason for change in demand, all right, would be things that affect the consumer. So every one of these things are going to affect the consumer. And the first one is consumer taste. Consumers may want it for whatever reason. They may want more of it or they may want less of it. So it's consumer taste or preference is the first reason. Next would be consumer income. Consumers may have more money or they may have less money. either way, they would be able to demand more or demand less of a product. The next is the consumer market size, or you could call it the number of buyers. This is physically how many buyers or consumers there are out there. So we'll just say it's the consumer market size. The next one is called consumer expectations. These consumer expectations are what consumers are expecting to happen in the future that would affect their demand now. And usually it's about a future price that would affect the demand for that product right now at the current price. So if the price of gas were to go up in the future, it would cause an increase in demand today at today's price. Okay? So that's an expectation usually about a future price. And the last one is a change in the price of a related good. Not this product, but a related good price change could affect the demand for this product at the current price, meaning people want more or less of this product today because a related good price change. And by related goods, there are two different types of related goods. There are substitutes and complements. And these substitutes and complements can absolutely impact how much people want of a particular product. They might want more of it or want less of it. If the price of peanut butter goes way up, that means that the demand for jelly is going to decrease. Or if the price of Oreos goes way down, that means that the demand for milk would increase. All right? Those are complements. But maybe it's a substitute, like butter versus margarine. Butter and margarine are substitutes. If the price of butter goes way down, then the demand for margarine would decrease because people don't want margarine as much, even though it's just one molecule away from being plastic. That's another story. So we've got these reasons for change in demand, which would cause a shift of the curve. So change in demand causes a shift in the curve, whereas change in quantity demanded is just a movement along the curve. Just a dot or point on the curve is a change in quantity demanded caused only by a change in price. Anything else that changes the demand curve affecting consumers will cause a change in demand.